Hello and welcome to The Inner Gamer On. My name is Brady Noski.
And I'm Awesome Morales.
Today on The Inner Gamer, we are going to be talking about the cost of streaming. This is going to be from a streamer's perspective. If you are a video game streamer or a person that wants to stream games and you're trying to get into the market, we're going to tell you about the things you're going to run into that are going to make it a little bit difficult now that we've heard some more news that has come out of the pipeline, and also some ways that can make it easier as a streamer going forward into the future. So let's jump into it. First thing I want to talk about is controversy surrounding a streamer.
The big C.
The big C. So
Can't get any bigger.
streaming has been around for not a very long time. It's in its infancy, right? Like it's really grown immensely. Like you had YouTubers, now it's all about the streamers. And there's a lot of big names out there. You've heard of people like Shroud, you've heard of Dr. Disrespect, you've heard of Ninja, you've heard of, which we're about to talk about, Ninja. You've heard of PewDiePie, you've heard of all these people, Markiplier, all these people. There's a lot of streamers out there, and they spend a lot of time producing content, as in like basically every waking day of their life, they are on camera. And when you're on camera for that long period of time, you are very, very vulnerable to letting everybody know about your life story, because that's, I mean, what else are you going to do? You're going to be openly sharing things about who you are as a person, because you're talking to them for hours on end and playing games and all this stuff. So there's going to be some discussion that's going to come into play, right? So recently, Ninja came out and said, so for those that don't know, Ninja, Jonathan Blevins, I believe is his name. I think Jonathan is his first name.
Don't keep up with their names.
Anyway, so he is a streamer that streams mostly Fortnite. He is, Jonathan Blevins. I want to make sure that was
Streams with Dre.
Right. What am I talking about?
Has like followers.
Richard Blevins. Tyler Blevins. That's his name.
How many first names does he have,
I
Brett?
don't know. It's Tyler. I don't know. It's all messed up.
Richard,
But
Tyler.
anyway, so Ninja is a Fortnite streamer, and he from it, like in regards to controversy. And when he came out and said that, there was some flack. Some people supported him.
So what he said was very general, and he didn't really go into it. And I know that feeling when like you say something like out of context completely. What did he say, Brett?
Well, he said, so this was actually an article on Polygon, and he said, quote, "I don't play with female gamers." And they go on to talk about, he said that if I have one conversation with one female streamer where we're playing with one another, and even if there's a hint of flirting, that is going to be taken and going to be put on every single video and be clickbait forever, he told Polygon. And then he goes on to discuss, like, you know, like he doesn't have anything wrong with it. It's just that that's not really something that he wants to do. And he said there hasn't been a single female gamer or streamer on Twitch or anything like that who's been upset about that. He said of possible pushback. He honestly thinks that it's just kind of a respect thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So these are the things that he said, and he said the only way to avoid the gossip is to not play with them at all. And some people came out and obviously had some issues to say in regards to that. And I 100% agree with what he said, because he's married, he has a wife, and he has a personal life. And I think a lot of people don't realize that these streamers have personal lives outside of their streaming lives. Because if you look at, in comparison, a celebrity that is in movies or TV, they have a life that they live when they're out in public, but they do have some semblance of privacy in that their work is when they're private, and when they come home, they have privacy. And when they're out on the go, they mostly have privacy unless somebody recognizes them on the street, right? But these guys and girls, their work is on camera all the time. And they have to be on camera all the time in order to maintain their position. Because if they're not on camera, somebody else is on camera taking away their views. And that's not good for them. So they're going to be on camera like every waking moment they possibly can in order to keep that status. And they're making a shit ton of money doing it. But
Why not?
There's a trade-off with that, and that's this controversy that comes into play. Right. So I just talked a lot, so I'm going to let you take over.
I mean, people don't want, I mean, you have a lot of different people watching you. You're going to have a lot of different opinions. So you're going to have backlash for certain things that you do. Now, if you're not saying the N-word like PewDiePie, I mean, I think you have a little better than most, than him. And then, another negative thing about this is that this is a Kotaku article that came out last year in May, and it was Twitch streamer Elohim, who is a 22-year-old. I don't know how old he is. He's a man with a family and everything, and one of his fans came to his house, flew over from like Korea, I believe, and I was just like, man, you put all your you create this community, and people get to know who you are, and like they start feeling like you're their friend. There's this weird barrier that's there and not there all at the same time, and that's just one of those things when you become a streamer that you tread that line every day, especially as you get more and more popular. Like you become a celebrity basically, and people want to get to know you and be with you.
Well, they feel like they know you too.
That's even
by
worse.
Being part of that,
right?
And that they feel like they can cross. And if you're sitting there watching the streamer every single day, like you learn a lot about these people, and then you feel like you know them, even though you've never actually interact with them in person. And it's this weird kind of thing there in which you don't. I mean, some people could easily take that out of context and that they really do know this person, but in reality, they don't know who that person is.
Right.
Because this person could be completely different on stream than they are in real life. Because that's what works on streaming, is that you have a personality. Like Dr. Disrespect is a perfect example. I guarantee you he's not the way that he is in person versus online. He's probably completely different. I mean, he definitely doesn't have that look all the time.
Right.
I mean, like he might have some of that to him, but that was intentionally done for
creating a character.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's that barrier that's there and it's not there. And it's just, it's just one of those things. And then you're going to have controversy over stuff, especially like, who was some of the guys who were in the Overwatch League, and they said some were they, anti-gay things, or like they called someone a faggot or something. Like, yeah, I can't remember the article.
No, it was the Dallas Fuel. I think the guy for Dallas Fuel that said it was something related to the sexual orientation of a player for the Houston Outlaws who was gay, right. And he said something negative towards him, and that was basically got him taken out of the team because he shouldn't have been saying that. And there was a maturity level there, and that's another thing with these Twitch streamers is that they're also younger people. So like, not only are they always in the limelight, but they're young people that are in the limelight that haven't grown up enough, that haven't grown up enough yet, but they're still young people. And that's even more dangerous and scary. So pulling it back into the conversation at hand, this is all about the cost of streaming. And if you are a person that wants to get into streaming, this is something that you're going to have to be constantly dealing with, is that there's going to be trolls out there. There's going to be trolls out there for one. And in addition to that, there's going to be people out there that are going to know a lot about you. And in a world where, like back when I was growing up, everybody was saying that don't put your real name online. Don't do this. Don't do that.
I remember that.
And now it's like, hey, look at me. My name is so-and-so, and I live at this place, right. And I am this age, and I'm married, and I have kids, and blah, blah, blah. And one watch me stream at my house. So, like, there's all that stuff that comes into play that we used to be uncomfortable with, and now we're comfortable with it. But the problem is that we have that may or may not, that makes us a little bit more safe, but we're not actually safe.
Right.
And that's something you got to really consider when you want to jump into the streaming game. And, Ninja's one example, but I'm sure this happens all the time, especially to females, because they have physical body parts that men don't necessarily can't flaunt, I guess,
right.
show off and whatnot. Not that they would want to show that off either way, but regardless,
you have trolls out there who know that they can get some people riled up, regardless if you're a man or a woman, and it's just gonna it's easy. But like that one streamer girl, I think she was a girl, she might have been a woman, who recorded these people being sexist against her during Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah, created this huge controversy.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was less of a controversy, but more of just public outcry. And,
she was just putting it out there and it's like, hey, this is the shit that we got to deal with.
Yeah,
as a female streamer, and that's so common because I'm not going to deny the fact that a lot of guys are kind of pigs, especially when they're online, when they have that screen in front of them, and they're going to say shit that they shouldn't be saying. But that's something that I think is getting better. But especially now that like everything that you do has your name attached to it in some way, like it's really hard to kind of, I mean, whether you're using YouTube, you have to register yourself with your name now. Things of that nature are making it a little bit better to prevent trolling, but it's still going to exist out there in some capacity. So that is a unfortunate part of being a streamer in today's day and age. And the next thing we got here, I was freaking out there for a second. So I was like, oh no, we don't have a recording.
No,
we're doing something different. So the next thing we have is in regards to new things that are coming out. So again, like if you're going to become a streamer, one of the controversy, the next cost in streaming is that where do you start? Because when streamers first got off the ground, there was Twitch. Like that was all that there was for streaming games. And now you have Twitch, you have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have Mixer. As of today, you now have freaking Steam.tv that just went live. Currently, it's only Dota 2 International that's being streamed there. But Steam has been working their way towards. They just updated their Steam platform, their chat platform, to feature new chat features. We're gonna have group chats. You can have different chat windows open. It's like all built around chat being a large feature of it. First, people thought they were copying Discord. Now you realize that they're not only copying Discord, they're also pulling in some Twitch stuff in there and then building a streaming platform into Steam, which is big.
I mean, it's perfect for them. It's perfect to grow that audience and that community. They already have it.
Yeah.
Like adding one more thing on there. It's perfect. I mean, they already had the...
they wanted to be a hub for PC gamers.
Watch your friend...
More so that way now than ever before.
Yeah. No, it's great. And he already had that feature as watch your friend play, which I never used, but it was there. Brett just spilled all over himself.
Spilled everywhere. Great blooper we can't cut out now.
So you got to like find your niche. I mean, I don't think everyone... I think before, maybe when there was like 2 or 3 and you streamed all like 3 platforms, it used to be like could be feasible, but now it's more of like I think you should pick your niche, like go on Twitch or go on Mixer. I think anyone can find a way to grow, and I think there's no one way to do it. Obviously, there's never one way to do anything, but just find your audience and then who it is and where they go to. Yeah, we have that same problem too. Is like, where do we go? Do we just stream on Facebook? Do we stream on Mixer? Do we stay on Twitch? We already have a following, and juggling those balls around. It's never easy.
I think that's one of the hardest things that new streamers face today is trying to find the platform that works for you, and not only find the platform that works for you, but finding the game or the type of thing that you're going to do that makes you unique from other people. Obviously, personality is a big part of it, but personality is, a quarter, like just a little piece.
It's a cog in the machine.
It's one ingredient in the whole entire recipe that you're trying to cook. And, you need to have the right time, like timing's a big deal. Because, I think one of the things that made Ninja really popular is that he jumped on Fortnite at the right time, and he was building an audience in other games, and then he jumped on a Fortnite, and all of a sudden, bam, he shot up, and then he got hooked up with Drake, and that made him even bigger. Timing was a big part of his success,
right?
And
it helps. He's on Twitch. You have a bunch of people who are already there watching all the time.
Yeah, and so that platform is definitely huge, but it's getting to the point now where you also got to think about the fact do I go on Twitch where everybody's at, but it's really hard to get noticed? Or do you go on to something like Mixer that still has a smaller community, more tight-knit community, but doesn't have as large of numbers? And it's also more so an Xbox-focused platform than it is anything else.
Right.
Or, you go on to YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTube live stuff, but I don't see as many gamers jumping on there. YouTube has their gaming platform that they developed, but you don't hear that being a big deal in the industry as much as...
Right. It was big for that one moment, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. So it's so many services out there, and at least there's systems like XSplit that let you, push your content out from one platform to multiple places, which makes it a little bit easier, but it's still a challenge to decide what am I going to do and how am I going to do it with all these different systems out there.
Right. It's not going to end here. Like, I'm sure there's going to be more services that come out over time who are like tweaking the formula way and just like overall refining it. And hopefully at one point, well, I guess I don't want one service, but hopefully there'll be a service or a few services out there that like provide different aspects where it's kind of almost like, you know, I want to say a trio, but it could be like a multitude of different things that you need, almost like a station, like
So what's gonna
TV station,
So I think what's going to happen,
right?
is we're going to see all
predictions.
these. We're going to have all of these services come out,
Right.
And there's going to be, you got Twitch, YouTube, whatever, and then the 10 more that are going to come out down the line,
Right.
And then you're going to have a thing such as Apple TV that's going to allow you to link all those systems into one place, and that way you just pick what you want to watch that day. And then hopefully they do something like what Apple TV did, I think, really well, was that they made it to where they added universal search, where you could then, with systems that supported it, unfortunately Netflix doesn't support it yet, but you can like use Siri on the Apple TV and have it search through all of your ecosystems on the Apple TV device. So that'll be, I think, what the next inevitable destination is going to be, because we're going to get to the point where it's just information overload,
Right.
But you want to have a central place to find your streamers who aren't going to depart from a platform that has such a large audience from it and just divert to another one. But you may want to watch something on Mixer, you may want to watch something on Twitch, you may want to watch something on YouTube for different reasons, because they're eventually, I think, going to also kind of form their own niches. Like Twitch is definitely for gaming,
Right.
but YouTube has a lot of abilities to open up to not just game streaming,
Right.
but you know, they could have, you know, more game show streaming stuff on there. You know, that kind of thing could happen, or just talk shows in general could stream on there. Or with Facebook, like I watched the SpaceX launch on Facebook Live. Like, so that's a completely different genre that could be hosted on that platform. So they might find these little niches that they fall under.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be
I think
watching something from all
Those
these
have kind of
different
already
places.
been lined out, I feel like, in some form or fashion. I know Twitch is trying to do more of like, you know, they have in real life type stuff where I know people do cooking and things like that and play guitar, which is
You
really
said cocaine.
Sure, someone has done it, but no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like people like play music and stuff, and it's just like it's cool to see that expanding. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like Twitch is that like you should come here to watch video games.
Right.
And it'd be nice for another service to come out to kind of fill those gaps for that. I know Twitch wants to do more of that, but I don't think they should. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if you jump on it early enough, like some of these platforms, like apparently if you jump on Mixer now, pretty soon it's apparently supposed to blow up because Xbox wants to take this and just, you know, run with it and have it their dedicated streaming service, which it's nice. Like the layout's nice,
Yeah.
the UI is nice. Like I really enjoy it.
Which is surprising coming from Xbox. who's
I
got a
know.
shitty Xbox UI, but
Hey,
Besides-
you win some, you lose some.
yeah. What was that service that we saw that was that came out recently that was going to try to help you have more direct interaction with streamers? That was coffee? No, something related to
I know what you're
caffeine?
talking. I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the one for the iPhone? Like it's literally for the iPhone
No,
or for mobile?
I think
Are you
it
talking
was
about the 4-screen share thing?
Caffeine. That's what it was called.
Caffeine.
Caffeine.tv, social broadcasting platform that is out in pre-release right now. It was created by a group of people, and it says on their website, it's a new way for you and your friends to enjoy and create live gaming, entertainment, and creative arts broadcasts. Simplicity is at the core of what we do, from our clean
That's
design
right.
to our simple to use tools. We make it incredibly easy for anyone to start broadcasting at any time. So yes, you can broadcast from your phone, you can watch from your phone. You can add filters and stuff on. It's kind of like got some Streamlabs kind of technologies built
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
system. And you
That's
can
right.
also earn money through it as well with different programs. So
Right.
that's like something that's like an up and coming platform, but I don't know.
I haven't heard anything
knows?
of it for a while.
Yeah, I haven't either. It's been kind of quiet. It's still pre-release, so
Right,
let's see what
right.
happens. But yeah, so let's move on to the third segment of this conversation. We've talked about the fact that if you're a newcomer coming in the streaming platform, you have these high costs, not in monetary costs, because getting started from a monetary standpoint is super cheap, but you have to deal with controversy. You got to be open to criticism from people out in the world. You got to figure out what platform you're going to get on, because there's so many platforms out there and so many people watching streaming. So that's a high cost you have to deal with. But how can you make it as a streamer and make it easier as a streamer going forward in the future? What kinds of things can we come to expect to make it so that if you're a newbie that comes in this world, like you can actually survive and actually make a living out of this? Because apparently that's what a lot of Gen Y people want to do, is they want to become YouTubers in the future.
No way.
They don't want to be doctors and lawyers. They
I don't
want to be
believe you.
YouTubers.
What?
It's crazy.
Internet sensations?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. The future is going to be really weird because we're not going to have offices anymore. We're going to be living in like these shared spaces. You're going to have like co-working spaces dedicated for like streaming areas. So people are going to like walk in and rent out like a little desk where they independently stream at that space. And that's
That'd
just,
be
they come to
interesting.
work at a streaming space.
No
and
more-
they have 10 streamers around them.
No more desktop. All laptops.
No, I mean,
All
they'll be
laptops all
desktops.
the
You can
time.
just set up your desktop there and stuff.
Okay,
but
all right.
That'll be your workspace you come
Right.
into. And they'll have like
Small
craft beer on
prediction.
tap.
Yeah.
They'll have Balls energy drink on tap. They're not promoting us, but you're welcome to promote us if you want to. Sponsor us, I mean.
You're witnessing the infamous Brett prediction. Will
Yeah.
it come true? Usually.
Yeah.
Usually.
You never know. Haven't been wrong yet, except for Borderlands 3 hasn't been announced yet this year.
Son of a bitch. And
Supposed
Splinter
to.
Cells.
But yeah, so on the note of that, with tools and things that can make things better, we talked about earlier this year about how video games, I think it was back in February or March, we talked about video games developers specifically designing games around streaming in mind. So they were literally changing the way that the game was being created because they knew that it had potential to be streamed. So for example, one game had a fixed screen that didn't move. That was a sports game because they knew that people were going to be watching this on a streaming platform. They don't want to have cuts thrown in there. They want to make sure everybody can see the action at all time. So that was why they made that conscious decision to not move the camera around. So things like that are really interesting. But there's a company called GenVid that raised $10 million from a venture capitalist company for this interactive streaming engine. And this engine is going to allow customers to monetize live streams through sponsorships and in-stream purchases. So particularly this is targeting the esports arena, but they can basically put in systems to where they can have sponsorships pop up through there. They can have purchases while you're watching the thing. So maybe there's somebody playing there's people playing Dota and it's a live stream that's happening. And then all of a sudden they show like an emblem on their shirt that's like Coca-Cola. And then Coca-Cola can be like, click here to buy Coca-Cola products. And bam, it's probably attached to your Twitch
Bam.
Amazon and Prime account. And it automatically purchases it and ships it to you in 2 hours while you're sitting there watching that stream.
So NASCAR
Basically.
for video games.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it, Brett. I love it.
So they're going to use that $10 million to triple their growth. And they want to make interactive streams for esports tournaments that are broadcast to platforms on Twitch, YouTube, etc. They can enable viewers to spectate esports matches where they can change which esports athlete they're following on the fly, which I think is really interesting. So that's going to change the way a consumer or the audience is watching it, in that they can control what they see. It's
Right.
not the camera controlling it, or it's not the people at the command center. That's also going to suck from a streamer standpoint, especially a company that is broadcasting this thing, because now they have to make sure that every single camera is always actively showing some kind of something that's visually interesting. Because like, for example,
Not
when you watch-
necessarily.
well, like if you watch sports, like sometimes like when they cut, like when they're like broadcasting NFL,
Right.
they'll cut from a camera to another camera and then inform that camera that had the action on, so that they can take a rest and like put the camera down and just
yeah.
breathe for a second. But in this, like all
Right. I mean, I see for this is like kind of, they'd have like a main feed, and then you'd have like a side menu you could pop out and be like, I want to watch this or that, and like, have to label it and stuff, which a lot of back end work's gonna have to come to this. But I think it's great because if you want to see somebody, I think that helps. So like, that really helps for the user. But I feel like that this won't be a huge thing for a lot of people. I feel that it's a lot of work, Now, I think there's a lot of people. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, would you sit there and be like, hey, I just want to watch this guy and this gameplay? That's it.
I think the whim of the people that are putting on the broadcast of what they're going to show you. In this case, you now have control to sit there and say, okay, I want to watch from this camera view and scrub back and like rewind it to be like, okay, right here, and like frame by frame see it. So you can make your own perception of what the call was supposed to be while the people are reviewing that play in esports, and make your own decision. And people are get into that shit like big time.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So that
if you have the
that's some of
ability to do
control
that,
you have, and they mentioned that, and then jump back to the existing broadcast in real time.
I'm curious to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
this is going to propel esports into actual sports.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they need. And it's a great time to get into streaming right now, especially something competitive like Rocket League or Overwatch.
Another thing too that's kind of interesting is the same company. So all of these things are tools that can be added to increase the interactivity with the person watching the stream and the person that's streaming the content. So, for example, they added the ability with the Twitch integration that allows users who are watching it to toggle, like basically, again, going back to if they need to do a replay of something to see like what happened there, you can toggle on and off the character hitboxes, the player inputs, and their heads up displays. So player inputs, I'm assuming, means that what they clicked in those various moments, because they're probably recording the actions that they're taking on their keyboard and on their mouse and letting you translate that and see it play by play so that you can break down how they carried out that gank that they just had on that hero character or whatever, that may allow you to better learn. I mean, you're going to have people building playbooks and video breakdowns of like, here's how this player goes after this guy in this situation on this map. Like, you're going to have people like break that shit down hardcore.
You're going to need like 10 gigabytes of bandwidth to send all that information out.
So much shit. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
But that's just the start of it. So I mean, like, I think we're at a point now where streaming is getting so big that we're gonna see it evolve and grow. People know the potential it has now. They know the money that's in it, and now it's about how can we innovate our platforms to get people to consume this content more and more and more, and just latch people on. So they're going to want to make sure that they can keep those Twitch viewers on there as much as possible.
Right.
And that's bringing them things that they can do to interact with the gameplay. That's going to be more extensions and more people building tools such as, Moobot allowing you to moderate things. But on the same side, you're probably going to have applications that will install into your Twitch that will allow you to maybe have some interactivity with the stream itself. We saw Rumble Monkey at South by Southwest that was like, hey, you can make money while you're playing video games, and that can be streamed. You can stream to people saying, hey, look at me, I'm making a bunch of money playing this game against other real people in the world.
Right.
And
well, I think that's the biggest thing. Yes, I think this is will really help with esports overall, but having that ability to have other people watching your stream will bring a lot more people into it, because you have a lot more people who know they can interact, and like they're playing a game while you're playing the game.
Right.
So we break that barrier to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I think is the coolest thing ever. Some games have done that, like Telltale's Batman. They had it where you can, I think, vote in or whatever. This is so long ago now. That like decide which choice should be chosen. I don't know if that was with the actual player or like they got to decide if that choice was the best choice, or
I think there's another game too that had something where like the players watching could
Tomb Raider had something like this,
like play God more or less, and affect what like certain activities happening at certain times to the player as they're playing through the game.
right?
So that stuff's like, that's just early. It's like the VR days or the early VR days of like, okay, let's figure out how we can make a character not moving and entertaining.
Right.
Because we don't want to move the character because it makes people sick.
Right.
So in this case, how can we entertain people more so? Because they have a special moment here, because it's not live action people you're controlling. This is, or that you're recording. This is game mechanics. And with those game mechanics, you have access to the code, whereas you don't have access to the code of a football player, but you have access to the code of the things that are on screen. Granted, a human is playing those characters, but you can get deeper into the game and unleash parts of the game that wouldn't normally be possible with just like video footage from a real life recording of something. So
we're going to get there. I know we are. It's coming.
Yeah,
It's coming.
definitely. So we started with freaking streaming being a pain in the ass, and it's so hard to jump into it. But we try to end it with a slightly positive note in that there's all these new exciting things on the horizon to look forward to if you are getting in the streaming world. And I think there's going to be a lot of evolution that goes on over the next several years. So I think now is a good time, especially because, again, going back to our discussion earlier this year about streaming with game design, conscious game design, reflecting the streaming culture. I think next year we're going to see a lot of games coming out with some kind of consideration of streaming in some capacity.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be a good time to jump in as a streamer just to jump in on the forefront of those things. Like if you see it, latch onto that and start streaming about that thing, because that's really, I think, how you're going to set yourself apart today is jumping onto the coattails of some brand new thing that hasn't been done yet, which is what Ninja did. You know, he jumped onto Fortnite before Fortnite was cool. And all these people jumping on these games that have life that could potentially get really, really big. So get on early. You never know what's going to happen.
Only way to do it.
Yep. So there we go. Let us know if you have any insight onto this conversation, any tools that you'd like to recommend about making streaming easier for you to interact with the community, your audience, easier just to, do streaming in general, or resources that you can recommend to new coming streamers. Let us know in the comments and, share with the community. Maybe you'll help grow a new streamer who becomes the next big Ninja or anybody of that nature. So
Tell them you got started here first.
yeah, tell them you got started here first. And with that's going to conclude our discussion topic this week. If there's something that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know at hello@theinnergamer.net. Don't forget to check our video clips of this segment, mostly every Thursday at youtube.com/innergamer. If not on Thursday, they'll be within a couple days from Thursday. We're working on that, so it'll be coming soon. And if you donate $3 or more a month at patreon.com, you can see the full video of this discussion each and every week. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time at theinnergamer.net. Bye-bye. Head on over to theinnergamer.net for a full podcast episode for our weekly game impressions and top headlines of the week.
That's one of me doing an interview. Here's one of all of us. We'll make some cool stuff in there.
Things.
Brett's also right here.
Like this video, subscribe, keep up with all the latest video game news and opinions that you care about right here on The Inner Gamer.